James Carter is loud. He's impulsive. He talks too much, jokes too much, and rarely knows when to stop. On the surface, Carter looks like pure comic relief. The fast-talking LAPD detective whose main purpose seems to be clashing with Jackie Chan's calm, disciplined Inspector Lee. But with the recent announcement that Rush Hour 4 is officially in the works, now is the perfect time to ask a deeper question. What if James Carter isn't just loud? What if his entire personality is a psychological defense mechanism? Today, we're going to analyze James Carter across the entire Rush Hour trilogy, not as a stereotype, but as a character shaped by insecurity, identity conflict, and a constant need to be seen. This is the psychology of James Carter. Carter's defining traits are immediately obvious. He's confident, almost aggressively so. He's charismatic, impulsive, and constantly performing. He breaks rules, challenges authority, and dominates every room he enters. But psychologically, this doesn't point to genuine confidence. It points to compensatory extroversion. This is when outward confidence exists to cover an internal sense of inadequacy. Carter doesn't simply exist in a scene, he announces himself. He repeatedly reminds people who he is, what badge he carries, and why he matters. These aren't casual statements, they're reinforcements. Carter needs the world to agree with the version of himself he's projecting. Because without that agreement, the image starts to collapse. One of the most revealing aspects of Carter's personality is his relationship with silence. Inspector Lee is comfortable with it. Carter is not. Silence creates space for reflection, and reflection threatens Carter's identity. Whenever Carter is out of his depth, unfamiliar environments, foreign settings, or situations where Lee clearly has more control, his behavior escalates. He talks more, he jokes harder, he becomes louder. Carter uses conversation as dominance. Instead of learning or adapting, he fills the space with confidence. Not because he understands what's happening, but because understanding would require vulnerability. Talking becomes emotional armor. As long as he's performing, he doesn't have to confront uncertainty. Carter's engagement with other cultures is especially telling. His attempts are shallow, performative, and often used as tools for flirting or self-promotion rather than genuine connection. This isn't curiosity, it's image management. Learning a culture, or a language, properly requires humility. It requires admitting you don't know something. Carter avoids that. Instead of appreciation, he chooses parody. Instead of understanding, he chooses confidence. This isn't malice, it's fear. Carter protects his ego by staying on the surface, where he can perform instead of risk looking uncertain. Carter's relationship with authority is deeply conflicted. He wants respect, but resents hierarchy. He wants recognition, but resists control. Psychologically, this reflects reactive dominance. This happens when someone asserts power preemptively because they expect to be undermined. Carter jokes at his superiors. He disrespects federal agents. He intentionally crosses professional boundaries, not because he's reckless, but because submission would place him in a vulnerable position. Carter doesn't trust systems. He trusts himself, because institutions haven't consistently validated him, so he becomes impossible to ignore. Inspector Lee is everything Carter isn't. Lee is disciplined without being rigid, calm without being passive, competent without needing applause. Lee never announces who he is, and that's exactly what unsettles Carter at first. Lee represents a form of masculinity Carter doesn't have access to, confidence that doesn't rely on performance. This is why Carter constantly mocks Lee, but also seeks his approval. Carter doesn't resent Lee, he admires him. Over time, Lee becomes a stabilizing presence, someone who doesn't compete for attention, allowing Carter to slowly drop the act. Psychologically, Lee functions as a secure attachment figure. Through Lee, Carter learns that respect doesn't need volume to exist. Carter uses humor in moments of genuine danger. This isn't fearlessness, it's regulation. Humor is a well-documented tool for managing anxiety. It lowers stress and creates emotional distance from threat. Carter jokes during gunfights. He jokes while being chased. He jokes when plans fall apart. This suggests he's highly sensitive to stress, but highly skilled at masking it. Carter likely learned early that vulnerability wasn't rewarded, so laughter replaces honesty. Humor becomes his shield. Across the three films, Carter changes, subtly but meaningfully. He listens more. He relies on Lee. He stops needing to dominate every moment. By Rush Hour 3, Carter is still loud, but he's no longer insecure in every interaction. Psychologically, this represents a shift from external validation to relational validation, from performance to connection. Carter doesn't become quieter, he becomes secure. James Carter isn't just loud. He's someone navigating a world that demands confidence without offering reassurance. He's sensitive in a profession that rewards toughness. He's funny because humor keeps him safe. That's why he resonates. If Rush Hour 4 is going to work, Carter shouldn't be written as a static joke. He's a character who's earned depth. Because behind all the noise, James Carter is someone who just wants to matter. And over time, he learns that he already does.